Welcome everybody. We were followed the other day by Alex Aliakian, which is good to know. Does our stream look right? Is the right side of my screen cut off, or is that good? I feel like we're bad. We got something wrong here. I moved the window capture. What's going on? Something weird with our window capture. I'm confused about my own window capture. Does this look okay now? Feels like the board is in the wrong place. I'm gonna need to actually check the stream. I think the board should be bigger. I'm a little messed up because of using Firefox. I'm not supposed to be using Firefox. Normally you don't use the Firefox. It's messing me up here. This isn't my normal layout because it's not. I normally have the Chromus Magnimus. Oops. This is only temporary. We'll get it sorted out. End stream. Chromus Magnimus. Why am I using Firefox? Because I forgot my Lichess password. Alright? And I don't feel like frickin' resetting it. And it's like saved in Firefox. Alright. Alright. Yeah, I have no time to fix things. Basically. No time to fix random stuff, like passwords, and I've been really busy. Christmas, other stuff. So we're back. Mule Skinner, Sumahair, and Astrobait. Analysis stream today. I like Firefox in general. It just doesn't work well with Lichess, because Lichess don't like Firefox. I personally like it better than Chrome, but I'm sure a lot of things about Chrome are better. Whatever. I've been using Chrome and Firefox for a long time, but I don't understand why my password manager is like messing up and I can't recover my password without having to reset it or something. If you enjoy memory leaks, I enjoy it very much. I enjoy all kinds of crazy stuff. Okay, we're ready. Mule Skinner, game first. Game, set, match. Alright, I have a message here from Mule Skinner. Where did it go? Let me just look for Mule Skinner. Mule Skinner. He's in Spain. Alexander, chess mastery consists of analyzing chess positions accurately. Good point. Okay, for game analysis 90-30. No, that's an old one. Is that right? It's not an old one. Okay. I was supposed to submit this game last week, but we left him out. So he goes first this week. 90 plus 30 Caro Kann. Which is why it's hard to be a good chess player without skill and analysis. Just playing bullet chess all day, I don't believe in that crap. All right, so Yul Skinner's white here. He usually only sends French defenses, but today we have a Caro Kann. It's a nice change of pace. I've played the Caro Kann against him quite a bit. Also Scandinavians, which transpose to Caro Kanns. So he's playing normally the Panov, which is what we have here. E4, C6, D4, D5, and now E takes D5. Well, how do you guys feel about this philosophically? You know, because I feel like the more I study chess, I don't like to admit it, but I think the advanced variation is White's best move. I'm kind of going with the crowd on this. I honestly don't have experience with the white side of the advanced variation. It's very closed, and I kind of prefer open positions more than really closed ones. It's also involving, taking a lot of space early on, but I think that E5 it's becoming the best move. The problem in the main lines is this freaking, bishop f5 is good enough to start with, but now black's also scoring well with knight f6, and e takes f6. So now there's like two problems in the mainline Caro Kann. You have to find a way to beat bishop f5, and you have to beat knight f6 too. So alright. The exchange on d5 is like theoretically, I think this is like theoretically a mistake. I mean, you have this position, right? You're white, and now you're trading this pawn for this pawn. How, as they say on God's green earth, or if you don't believe in God, whatever, how in the world is trading the e4 pawn for the c6 pawn the right idea for white here? So Dr. Chipchan's also, the fantasy Caro Kann has its disadvantages. You're weakening your king position, obviously. So I still think, like, objectively, white's best move is probably e5. But it takes a skilled player to play the advanced variation without overextending themselves. So anyway, we have a take, and now c4. And this is obviously not forced. Hey, it's Miro, and I were analyzing one of his games, and he played the Fischer knight f3, d5, takes, and knight e5 here. Which is just another form of exchange variation, basically. It's like a specific form of the exchange variation. Anyways. So we got Panov, take, and now c4. The c4 advance is the best move, theoretically, for white here. Let's put it this way. I mean, if the Queen's Gambit is good, then c4 has to be white's best move in this position. I just was lecturing Astrobate about IQP positions. This type of position, I mean, this pawn, dude, it's like an extra piece in the center of the board. Way too many people think that isolated pawns are bad, and that's just a really, really bad and narrow way of looking at things. A proper isolated queen pawn should be a strength, not necessarily a weakness. So, Black isn't supposed to take here. Black reinforces the center with knight f6. White plays knight c3. And now black has like various ways to play. g6, knight c6, and e6. So our hero played knight c6, variation I have personally a lot of experience with. And now Mule Skinner has two primary moves here. Bishop g5 or knight f3, and I've played both a lot. The problem with knight f3 is this variation with bishop g4, and it doesn't look like white. It just doesn't look like white has anything after bishop g4. So bishop g4, c takes d, knight takes d. I was showing this to Mr. Coffee, I think. This is a big fat draw. And bishop b5, it turns out black can even play like e6. What was that? Bishop b5, e6. Mises Normans versus Vilmos Balint. So I don't think like white, objectively should play knight f3. I mean, I think if you want to play the system, Mule Skinner, you got to play bishop g5 here. And this is also okay for black. Black should play probably bishop e6. Floor played d takes c. This is even playable for black. There's the old queen a5. There's a lot of different ways for black to play this. Even the passive e6, I think this is better for white. Like I like c5. I don't really like the e6, but I think white should definitely go with bishop g5. Anyways, we don't have that today. Black played e6. And again, this is not great for black. Black's not supposed to play. I mean, I studied the Caro-Kann back in the 80s. Black's not supposed to play knight c6 in tandem with e6 because of c5. When white plays c5, your knight should be on b8. So A, it doesn't get pinned by bishop b5, and B, if white tries to play like b4 to support the queen side, black can undermine the white pawn structure with like b6 and a5. But that's hard to do when your knight's on c6 because again you run into things like bishop b5 or b4 b5, etc. So this is just not, as far as I'm concerned, this is just not a good variation for black because of c5 specifically. It might be playable, but it's not something I would want to play. I saw some guy in the IM tournament here. I think he played like 94 or something. But it's just not good for black. So Mule Skinner should definitely play c5 here. Instead, and this is also, I guess a3 is also a decent move. Here, playable, not my favorite. I mean, this move actually forces black to have a reasonable position. I've also faced e takes d. Knight takes is safer. Now bishop d3, and so what we did was we transposed from one variation to another. This position could be reached by, say, a different order of moves, where black had played, e6 first, and only later played knight c6. But so now we get a really unusual move from black, g6. And if you look at the database, wow, immediately you've got two good players who did this. So again, a position that could be reached by different orders of moves, I would think. But this type of thing where we're playing e6 and g6, it looks weird, but it's not that bad. Black can actually play f6 off times. I would think if bishop g5, black can play f6. So that was the game, bishop g5. But I don't know if white should play bishop g5. I mean, obviously, like, castles is a normal move. The only other move that's possible maybe a3, keeping the square off of, keeping the black pieces off of b4. Okay, there is another move I could play. It's really radical, but if you want to be like a total psychopath, I guess you could play. Theoretically, you might be able to play h4 here. I'm a little bit worried about. Although I like this attacking plan, I'm a little worried about this. But I don't know, you know, I mean, does black have time to do this? I mean, he's going to get destroyed by, like, h5. So h4, you know, maybe black should think carefully about how to answer that. Let's see what the oracle says. World loser? So h4 is a valid novelty. I guess it wouldn't be bad advice to say always consider h4 when your opponent plays g6. It's always an option. It looks like h4 is interesting. Okay. Neil Skinner plays bishop g5. So you got Blomqvist versus Tikkanen. What do you guys bet? Well, he played queen a5, but it's not forced. Black can also play bishop e7 or f6 here. Queen a5 is always bad. That's what we say on the stream. Welcome, World Loser. Did I say that already? My Alzheimer's is kicking in. I mean, queen a5 looks kind of artificial. This is a move that it obviously, you know, Feingold fans and everyone, it seems horrible. It's a very important idea, and you can actually attribute it to Akiva Rubinstein, who played f3 with white. You know, f3, famously f3 rook f2. Black can oftentimes play king f7, rook f8, rook f7. f6 is not at all necessarily a bad move for black here. It might well be the best move. And this, of course, is playable. I had a game like this with a slightly different position where I agreed to repetition against a higher rated player here. Okay, queen a5. Yeah, so Blomqvist sacked a pawn. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't think I would go with queen a5. It's dangerous. If it were me, I would play either bishop e7 or f6. So Neil Skinner here, you know, he's facing possible bishop b4. So this looks right. And now the game where black took on c3, white went on to win. Froelich, a couple German players. Black didn't take the pawn on c3. It's kind of like, yeah, why is your queen on a5 if you're not going to take that pawn? Bishop g7. And now we transpose to some other games. Character named Igor Novikov. when he was rated 2490. Also, Gilberto Milos. Very strong players with white. Queen d2, castles. White is slightly better. Alright. So let's see what happened in the game here. Same thing, bishop g7, queen d2, castles. So black opted not to take on c3. I wonder about this position. Someone played like bishop e5 here. That's strange. Queen d2 is reasonable. What about knight takes? Can we exploit this queen here? Something like maybe rook e1 and bishop e4. Here's the things that black can take the pawn. Okay, now our bishop's in trouble. So that's not going to work. It's not the pawn that's the problem, it's the bishop that's in trouble on g5. Okay, queen d2, bishop h6. Oh wow. So the other guys played bishop h6 here. Yeah, no, I mean this seems correct. Something like the Ulf Anderson game. Rook d8, bishop g7, king g7. White is not worse. For those of you who think that white is worse because he has an isolated pawn, I don't think so. Black might be equal, but white is not worse. The pawn on d4 is, I try to explain it to Asterbait. This pawn is like, it's almost like having an extra piece, you know? If it disappears, then maybe white's worse. But as long as that pawn is here, so okay. I don't like this move at all. I don't understand what this move does. I've seen that done in the e6 type positions, but not g6 type of positions. My feeling here is that bishop e4 is a massive waste of time. This is a huge waste of time. I mean, in an open position where we can't afford to waste time. Balashov played it and lost. No, Balashov beat Laputian in 1991. Knight takes c3. Okay, first of all, why does black have to play knight takes c3? He doesn't. Black's not under any kind of immediate threat. But I suppose the bishop e4 isn't all that bad. Alright, bishop e4. And now black played rook e8. Very passive. That does not, like, nothing. Almost nothing. Another idea. How bad is it to play f6? A lot of really, like, anal retentive scaredy cats are gonna, like, complain, oh my god, f6. Like, all these squares are controlled. What's white gonna do other than play bishop h6 anyway? It's very hard to get in there, you know, for white to get in there and exploit any kind of weaknesses in black's position. I think f6 is reasonable. I much prefer f6 to, like, rook e8. So now rook fe1. You know, rook e8 does one thing. It potentially avoids exchange of bishops with bishop h6. But I'm not sure if black really wants to avoid the exchange of bishops. Now this is a good move. Black pulls the queen back with the idea of knight a5, knight b3, knight c4. I don't like that knight. It has two ways of getting in. And now Emil Skinner played h4, but I mean, what are we doing after knight a5? This is an issue. Even this might be annoying. Plus black has bishop c6. Alexander says, why not improve black's light square bishop? Well, I think that's what we're trying to do. Not a lot of ways to do it other than bishop c6 or bishop b5. So knight a5 is forced. I don't like this move at all. This is very routine. And now I really don't understand. Like, what is white threatening? What is white threatening here? You know, nothing immediate. It's going to take like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I don't know, 5 or 6 moves for white to initiate a really strong attack on the king side. And black plays this howler, the worst move ever. So please explain to me, like, what's happening after knight a5. We're threatening queen takes c3, knight b3, and knight c4 now. My assumption is that black is okay. Wow. h6. Only like AlphaZero would find that. Damn, dude. If AlphaZero is white, AlphaZero is better here. h6. But I don't think most of us can calculate, you know, deep enough to make h6 work. Wow. But in any case, like, I think knight a5 is definitely the best move. Black played this. This is horrific. Weakening his king side. Weakening this. Weakening the e6 pawn. Totally unnecessary. And now white is just better. So it's tempting to play bishop takes c6. I mean, bishop takes c6, bishop takes c6, knight e5. In any sort of situation where he trades here, white is like almost winning because of the dark square weaknesses around the black king. So I guess he would play maybe like bishop d5. But objectively, I'm not sure if white should exchange. So I think this is okay. This is okay, it guards this. Now black played knight a5. f5 was unnecessary. Now hg6, hg6. And we've got a fork. to worry about. So in the other variation, the computer was playing queen a2. But actually, the one thing we don't want to do here is trade queens. So if he takes on c3, we can play maybe queen f4. So Wesley. The problem with the move in the game, what did he play? Queen e3. Oh, queen e3. But what are we doing on queen takes c3? It's not clear. I'm not sure what the best move is here, is what I'm trying to say. This queen a2 probably doesn't work. Alright, whatever. It's reasonable. Black takes. We're tied down to this guy. However, you know, I wonder... What do you guys think about knight to e5 here? Guys and girls. I'm serious. Bishop e5, queen e5. Oops, I dropped my bishop. And then queen f6. Is it my imagination, or is it like game over? That's... I don't see how black can not lose. How does he defend? There's no defense. This is over. It has to be over. So knight e5. He ended up playing it. Oh yeah, man, this was the game. Wow. I didn't see it was the game. Yeah, knight e5 is a tremendous move. Nice job, Mule Skinner. So now it's like black just maybe didn't calculate far enough. And there are some problems. I mean, what do you do, for example, if rook c7, rook c1, and your rook's lost? So how do you protect your bishop on d7? I guess he has to move the bishop. Let's say bishop a4. Okay, let's say that's the best move. Anything's better than, you know, than queen, rather than bishop takes e5. Let's say bishop a4, wait as this, or just like knight takes g6. I'm not sure about that. So probably rook c1, queen takes a3, then we have rook takes rook, rook takes rook, knight takes g6, starting knight e7 check, plus the devastating queen takes e6 check. I mean, look at the black pieces. They're like splattered onto the side of the board like a modern art or something like that. Like a modern art. Yeah, this is brutal, dude. Look at that position. Splattered. Bishop takes e5, queen takes e5. Great judgment by Mule Skinner. Threatening to win with queen f6. Black spotted it, played this. So that's a nice move. He saw it, he defended, and now white has sacrificed a pawn for strong attacking chances on the dark squares. Number one priority, we cannot trade queens under most circumstances. Knight is hanging on a5, but not really. Our bishop's hanging on d3. So what do we do? Rook a d1 looks slow. That's what he played. The art of chess calculations. Maybe that's the title in Swedish. I don't know, man. You're talking about Think Like a Grandmaster? Kotab wrote several books. A lot of people are really rude about Think Like a Grandmaster. I love that book. Suneberg Hansen was like trashing it on Facebook. Some people are so dogmatic. Like, you have to take things in context. It's not like, you know, this was a modern written book. Don't have to trash like masterpieces of their time. What do we do? Rook 81. This is a little slow. Is there nothing faster? I mean, we have bishop h6, rook f7. And then we have... Wait a minute. Rook c1? No. No. How do we get here? We can play queen g3. Black will play king h7. And then we move the bishop again. This is getting kind of nasty for black, I would think. I don't envy black here. I think black is lost. Black's going to get bishop e5. Queen h4 check. Rook c1. So, good game by Muleskinner. But this move a little slow. Okay, here, queen g3. Is there any defensive shot? We're threatening bishop where? Well, maybe black can play queen takes d4. Queen takes d4, sir. Peter doesn't like it. The pewter. Bishop f5. Queen g7. Jeez, dude. There you have rook takes d7. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So queen takes d4, bishop f5, followed by rook takes d7. Ouch. Yeah, other than that, I don't have a suggestion. So we're looking at maybe bishop f4, bishop e5. But okay, he has the simple bishop d2. And then takes... I thought he would take on d3, but that's losing a queen. Takes, check, here. And then white has the threat of rook e3. Or various bishop moves. Nice game by Muleskinner. Excellent. Excellent game, sir. Well, there's Play Like a Grandmaster and Think Like a Grandmaster. They're different books. And Think Like a Grandmaster was always the one that was considered a masterpiece. Although, like I said, some people have trashed it for being unrealistic. I don't agree, you know. I don't think it's worth trashing, even if you don't agree with his methodology. Alright. Next, I've got to go back to our study. Play. Welcome everybody to the stream. Be the first to gift a sub. We have no gift subs. We do have donations from Uber Driver, Stapvargan, T Streets. No gift subs this week. Complain like an international master. Man, it's raining all the time, man. What kind of Christmas with this rain? Get me some snow. Alright. Okay, Muleskinner, very good game this week. That was certainly interesting. IQP OPP. Alright, IQP, you know me. I heard a blizzard in the northeast or whatever. Horrible rain in Hungary. Okay, Schumacher. Oh no. Why does he have to submit his game against me? Are you serious? Not again. I can't believe he's doing this to me. I was in a good mood till this. Why do I even accept these games where people are submitting their wins against me? I can't believe I have to analyze this. Alright, let's look at it from his side. So, here we're playing loser, international master. D4, D5, C4, E6. And keep in mind that, you know, said international master normally doesn't play D4, D5 much. I tried to play the Tarash, but, you know, our chicken opponent played this. I mean, nothing wrong with E3. But I don't want to play semi-Tarash. Now, I don't know why I did what I did here. You know, this was a really, really dumb decision. It was what? It was like the morning on Tuesday or Monday? Monday morning? This was my birthday? My birthday stream? Monday morning. And it was like the first game I played, and I played this. This is stupid, you know? Why do I want to play this move? Why would I choose to play this move? There's no good reason to play this move. Why am I doing that, you know? I would never normally play that move. I was just like, oh, whatever. You know, we'll just do randomly C takes D. My thinking here was like, well, Schumacher doesn't normally play the white side of the Panov or whatever, does he? I just wasn't sure, like, it, you know, it fit with his repertoire. But black should keep the tension. And knight f6 or knight f6 probably. Knight f6, knight c6. I wonder, I think a6 is probably too slow. This was played. I don't know if it's fast enough. Alright, so cd4, cd4. It's like the isolated pawn day. I have a terrible, terrible score with this variation. Over the board. I thought we would get like a standard Panov. Now I played bishop b4. And we can play either cd or bishop d3 here. He plays cd. And then again, I've like faced e takes d. I've played with white this position. E takes d is weird, and Laszlo Balázs used to play that. I mean, I don't know why people do that, but it's playable. So I played this position for both colors. But it seems like knight takes is more solid. And then I, with white, have played queen c2 when I played this line. But bishop d2 is supposed to be the best. The better of the moves. And now, yeah, now I like, just, it was Monday morning, so I started doing weird stuff. Although I don't think my move is necessarily that bad. I looked at this position and I thought, this bishop is strange. It's not particularly great. But I mean, it's normal for black here to just like develop castle or knight c6. But I played knight f6. This is rare, but it may transpose. I'm not convinced this is a bad move necessarily. But I totally did not expect the next move. You know, I think like white should develop with a natural move here. Bishop d3 or bishop c4. Possibly, you know, what else? Yeah, I mean, he played queen a4 check, but it seems artificial to me. Varushin played this back in 2003. I don't know where that tournament was. I've played both of these players. Yeah, it strikes me as a very strange move. It's not like I have a c-pawn on c7 and you're like making me put my knight on c6, blocking my c-pawn. This isn't really inconvenient for black. I don't have a pawn on c7. It's not a Rogozin or something, or Chigorin. So I'm not inconvenienced in the least. And then, yeah, so I think this is actually not very good for white, to be honest. So bishop e5, and then I could play bishop takes c3. I don't think there's a problem. Check. Takes. Probably like pawn takes, castles, and we transpose to the game. Yeah, I mean, I don't think Varushin knows what he's doing here. He got lucky against a weaker opponent. But castles is what the same way I did what Langer did. Castles, bishop takes c6, bishop takes c3, b takes c, and then b takes c6. And you know, the point is like this is, yeah, far from that. This is really bad for white, probably. Black will have tremendous compensation for the sacrificed pawn. If my bishop gets to this diagonal, white is in a lot of trouble. Even if it doesn't get to that diagonal, he has huge problems on this diagonal. Queen takes c6 isn't good. You know, he plays correctly. Well, I mean, actually, he could castle, I guess. See, that's what Varushin did. No, castles is probably like reasonable. I still like black though. The question is one of calculation, I suppose. Can we get in c5 or not? We need this move, but here we can't just block, you know, lose a pawn for nothing with black here. But I don't like Langer's move, queen c7, particularly. What happened? He got in c5, c4, c5, and bishop a5. This is a disaster. It was a crazy game. Lots of little tactics there. But there's no way that black has to get involved in this craziness. Feels like something should be better than. We should have something better than the text move for black. Let's see. The oracle will find the answer. No, apparently queen c7 is best. Queen c7, c4. c5. He could have played bishop b7 and delayed c5. Yeah, white keeps a little edge here, it looks like. I can't say that black is completely equalized. After Varuzhin's move, I don't know. Black needs something better. Maybe we can find a better line for black. Bishop d7, queen a3, c5. Queen c5, rook c8, active defense. Queen a7. Oh, this is really crazy. Wow. Black sacks a pawn for white square blockade. Good chances to draw. You have to play actively somehow. Not easy though. So Mule Skinner. Sumihara here makes a mistake against me and plays this. And now I played bishop d7. Which I didn't like at the time, and it was my only like blunder in this game. I mean, he's not castled, and I have c5 now, and I missed it. Or I just didn't think it worked for some reason. I'm not sure exactly what I missed. I mean, I don't know, I guess I thought you could take this somehow and hang on to it. There are moves like queen d5, attacking e5, attacking c5, attacking g2. You know, I mean, this is quite dangerous for white. So knight e5 was a mistake, it was a loss of time. No, Varuzhin played the best. But I missed c5. After c5, black was okay. Black was actually better. Wow. So we both made a mistake. I played bishop d7. This is not ideal. But I was like, okay, I'm threatening c5. And I saw the next move, and I was like, oh shit, you know, bishop g5. This is a problem, because now I'm going to have to take with the g-pawn on f6, or else do some horrible move like bishop e8, which I don't want to do. So we go. And now take. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He castles. And black's structure is worse. And I can't play c5. But it's not that easy to take advantage of these kingside pawns. If I get in c5, I'm in pretty good shape. And I could possibly attack down the G file. So first I take the open file, white does this, and then I forgot this game now. I played rook b6, and he traded, which seems wrong. I would think like white would copycat me with rook b3. I think this is a mistake. Rook takes b6, a takes b6, rook b1, b5, queen a3. There's lateral. There's back to c1. There's this diagonal. A queen a3 move is pretty nice. Now I centralize the queen, and then white surprised me here with h4. I mean, this stays on this, it stops c4. I was planning on breaking out with e5 at some point. And I thought, okay, black is fine. Plays h4. And I don't know now. Black is better according to the engine. But I was really low on time. h4 is a little bit over the top. You know, it should be a draw. This should be a draw. He's weakening his king side. Now I was like optimistic, I was fine. e5, and then he finds this. This is a really nice move. Well, I don't think the computer's gonna like his exchange on b6. I would estimate white's like a tiny bit better. Yeah, I would estimate perfectly. After a takes b6, it's like 0.2. Black's kingside weakness is negligible. I was fine. But then we got to e5. He plays rook b4. I was worried about this. I played rook e8. That seemed okay. He plays queen c1, attacking my pawn. I gotta watch this. By the way, his a pawn is hanging. King h7, because I don't want to get a check on g4. And then check. You know, here objectively, he's starting queen f5, maybe. I'm not sure if it's a big deal, but I didn't really like it. So, you know, I didn't like this rook coming over. Well, maybe that's not such a big deal either. So I thought if I played e4, I shut down his rook lateral. I have a strong pawn here. And I thought I was better. But he's breaking out now with a4. This is a pretty obvious move, right? a4. And I mean, I could just take it, you know. I don't have to do anything, to be honest. But I decided to play f5, thinking like, I'm protecting my pawn, I'm cutting down, you know, the chance of something bad happening on this diagonal. A takes b5, c takes b5. Suddenly my b5 pawn. I expected him, and I think he should play queen b2 or queen b1. But he surprised me with this. I don't think you want to trade queens when my king is more exposed than yours. And I have less time, but he did it anyway. So I traded queens, assuming it's just a draw. But I forgot, like, you know, he's going to take here and take here. But I figured, okay, it's still just a pawn. It's still a draw. Rook here, rook takes, rook takes, rook takes. And then I had a hallucination. Now we had a hallucination. that if I play king g6 and he plays this, I guess I didn't see I had like check here and rook e1. I don't know, I think like it's a draw probably. But I managed to find a way to lose this. He takes on f5 and I played rook d3, which is just stupid. Now he takes another pawn and then goes and defends, and now I'm 2 pawns down. And I still thought I could draw. King f5, king f1, king g4, g3. And my king position is so good, I thought, oh wow, there's a chance here. e3. And there was a trick, because if he plays king e2, I have pawn takes pawn. But he doesn't fall for it. e3, fe3. I can't let him add the 2 connectors, so rook takes, king f2. And now check here. And, you know, I don't know what else I can do there. I'm down 2 pawns. 1 pawn too many. Objectively here. I guess I can check and put my rook on a different square. Maybe rook... I can't get behind the pawn. Maybe rook a3 or something. I assume this is winning for white, but maybe it's not that easy. Wow. I mean, black has such a good king position, there's a chance I might not be lost. This is pretty wild, actually. Rook a3. He might not have found the winning plan. It looks like there's only one move. Most people would probably check here. Rook h7 is the best move, apparently. Check allows me to hang on with king h5. That's surprising. So rook h7, only winning move. No, I just blundered, allowing the check with a winning rook ending, rook or king and pawn endgame. And I'm blocked out, and this is too fast. So it was not a perfect game by both of us, but better by him than by me. All right, Asterbait is up next. Asterbait versus Ivanchuk. Guys, don't forget to gift subs and follow. Where is everybody? Subscriber stream. Where's our subscribers for the subscriber stream? Subscriber game analysis stream. Holiday cheer. Asterbait. Yeah, I mean, this is the problem with my apartment. These stupid windows. Mr. Coffee, thanks for the donation, man. 501. This is the whole reason I had to buy another apartment and move. Don't buy an apartment with, like, on the roof with skylights, because they leak. Don't buy a car with a skylight or whatever it's called. They always get leaky. You have to have them replaced. It's tricky to get it replaced. Okay, sunroof. Sunroof is the word I'm looking for. Moonroof. Yeah, my dad told me that when I was a kid, but I didn't listen. Never ever get a car with, but I got a house with a moonroof. Never get anything with a window on the roof. All right, so this is Asterbait versus Ivanchuk. What a privilege to get to play Ivanchuk. Asterbait with e4, c6, another Caro Kann. d4, d5, e5. Bishop f5, c4. Oh no. Is this the right game, Masturbate? Roof? Is this the correct game? The g4 attack? Ivan Chuk Vasily. I don't remember that name. c4 is good. I like this. This is fine. That's old school. You guys, I've told the story how, like, the second tournament I ever played, I played black. In this position, I played the horrible bishop takes b1. It was 1986, and I didn't understand chess properly. Was it 86 or 85? I can never remember. This is so bad. Alright, e6, knight c3, and then bishop b4. No. Astrobate had another game where his opponent played bishop b4. And it looks like against bishop b4, we should play c takes d for white, a la Magnus Carlsen. Okay. In this case, Astrobate's opponent played d takes c4. Hushenbeth versus Kamsky. What are these guys by their rating points? D takes c4. How is Hushenbeth 26-28? How is Kamsky still 26-84? How? Can somebody explain to me how Kamsky is 26-84? When the guy, like, retired from chess, I don't know, 15 years ago? How could he maintain a rating of 26-84? Look, Morozevich, I don't know, man. How can Goddess to be 26-84? That's wild. That's still very high. D takes c4. So black gives up the strong point on d5. It's such an interesting structure. I mean, this enables white to develop with tempo and surrenders like their strong point on d5, but he gets, what does he get in return? Black gets this square to use for his pieces in return. If you ask me, it's not such a great trade-off for a strong central pawn on d5, but it is really hard to get the black pieces out in these type of Caro-Kans. I just want to say it's a little weird, you know, that you're playing the Caro-Kann, you're like supporting d5 and then like trading it off on c4. But okay, it happens. Bishop takes c4, and now knight e7. It's also possible to play knight d7. And I wouldn't have the clue. I wouldn't have a clue as to which is better for black here. Like, on the one hand, you play knight d7, knight b6. On the other hand, you're playing like knight e7, knight d5. I mean, guess, you know, if I had to think about it, it seems better to play knight e7, knight d5. You have more congestion on the king's side, and those pieces, you know, have trouble getting out. So I would think knight e7 would be better. But it's funny, the statistics here are for black to play knight d7 more. Okay. The other thing that I want to say about this kind of position, which is also common in the Slav defense, black gives up the strong point on d5, which means that he can use that square for his pieces. But in contrast, he gives up the e4 control with the pawn, So later on, a lot of times this square is maneuverability. You know, the maneuverability of a piece into e4 is very important for white. That gives us attacking chances for white. Going here into d6, going knight e4 into here. So we're analyzing subscribers to the stream. Knight e7, and now Astrobate went crazy. He likes this idea, g4. You know, honestly, Astrobate, if you really like g4, maybe you should play a different variation. If you really like this. If you love playing g4, you know, maybe you shouldn't play c4. Maybe you should play a different line with g4 or knight c3 or h4 or something like that. In a similar position, I told him, you're making too many pawn moves. That's a very general observation, obviously, though. So we'll see. h4, threatening to win a piece. Now black obviously has h5 or h6. Mr. Coffee. Mr. Coffee, thanks for gifting to I've Beaten Fallujah. Gift sub. Finally, we got a gift sub this week. No, so from black's perspective, big decision to do h6 or h5. If you play h5, you know, you give up the g5 square. So sometimes this bishop can settle in on g5. h6 looks safer. That's what he did. I'm not sure though, you know, honestly, maybe bishop g5 is not such a big deal, you know. Now knight f3. Okay, Astrobate, but why knight f3 here? Let me ask you a question. What does knight f3 do? What does this do? It protects d4. It protects e5, but e5 is not under any pressure. But if you play knight e2, I think you have better prospects. You protect this pawn, but you also have knight f4 and knight g3. So your knight has more flexibility. Probably not relevant, but also there's the Shirov like rook lift. Knight f3 gets in the way of that. I'm not sure that's important here. I like knight e2 better, and now black plays knight d5. So what does white do? You know, h5, g5. If h5, he has this, this, and this. But I think white remains with, you know, a big advantage here, even if he manages to do this, or if he does this. Maybe bishop d5 would be the best try. Another reason not to play knight f3. But I wanted to say something else here. If bishop h7, black has some ideas on knight b4. So I'm going to mention a3. It might be a good idea. Alright. So Astrobate played this. So normally when someone plays bishop takes knight on d5, I fall out of my chair. I don't think this would be any exception. Astrobate, what are you doing? What are you doing, bro? Right, no, I saw you mention A3. 1 A3. Astrobate, why are you playing bishop takes d5? That's your good bishop? And you're going to bring an enemy pawn to the powerful d5 square again. You know, I'm not even 100% sure that this is bad for black. There does seem to be a very real possibility of some sort of pawn sacrifice. But, you know, okay, bishop takes d5. Why are we giving this bishop up? Takes, queen a4 check. And okay, what does that do? Now the big question is, what the heck are you doing? You know? After knight c6, it looks like you have nothing. I mean, even knight d7 is playable. So, but I mean, knight c6 is clearly the best square. And it looks like white is just worse. You got a total loss on this diagonal. White's just overextended with like weaknesses on the late squares. Bishop takes d5 is a bad move. So you could do something normal here. Well, I mean, I think h5 is still normal. h5 is okay. Then he goes bishop h7. Then you play a3. You stop him from coming in there. It's a normal position. Either side, you know, might win. White's a little overextended, but black has less space. So it's a game. Yeah, this is a really bad move. Bishop d5 is inexcusable. Actually, I mean, if you're going to take with anything, take with a knight, I guess. But, you know, still I don't think you have anything special. You're like overextended. It just looks like white's overextended. Bishop takes d5, cd5, check, queen d7. Now, obviously, if you trade queens, black is like better. So Astrobate just played for the cheapo. And he's got one last try. He's got something here. So this ended up being like a mistake. Black should have played knight c6. And if you go knight b5 now, he can just kick your butt out of there. But this is a major loss of time. And now knight b5, threatening knight c7 check. But it just hit me that you have the bishop f4 now. Still, probably it's not good. This is still not good enough. I mean, white has like bishop here. There you do rook h3, do. I mean, you're still in doo-doo. I'm kind of skeptical of white's position. But I guess not so easy, maybe. Because you're gonna play knight d6 check. Let's see what the computer says. Computer hates white's position, wow. It just hates your position. Because of h5, damn. Man, h5 is brutal. It's just brutal. Undermining the light squares. Phew. Yeah, you're gone on the white squares. Color complex is, you know, just not, people don't understand color complexes, how important they are. I think chess authors do a poor job of teaching people about the importance of color complexes. The whole light square complex is gone. You know, white just has no control over the light squares almost. Just draw a big fat X on the white squares. This is why you don't give up your light square bishop for a knight. You have no control over the light squares, virtually. funny that you retreated your knight here, even though he's not threatening anything. Maybe he is. No, not really. I mean, you still can play like bishop f4 and try to play this. I thought this was your whole point. You know, you would get the knight to d6 and be able to play like that. And now at least there's some chance. You have a pass pawn on d6. The position is kind of crazy. If you're lucky, you might get a trap or get... This doesn't work. But at least there's some hope for white, sort of. Well, almost. Maybe not. I don't know, Tabias, if I knew that, I would tell you. I'm saying watching my stream is the best way to learn. Alright, a6, knight c3. I mean, I'm talking about it because authors don't, you know. I don't know. And then black just hangs a pawn for nothing. So that was logical. b5, of course. Why play it, you know, before when you can play it now and it doesn't work? That's unbelievable, man. I mean, it's unbelievable that your knight is on b5. He doesn't take it, but then he plays b5. And then you just take it. That's insane. Now knight c3. Thank you for the pawn. Now I have compensation for my overextended position. Castles. Still black is okay here. a3, creating more light square weaknesses. Rook fc8. Queen d1. And now black has to focus on the queen side. Maybe a5. Maybe knight a5 coming into c4, b3. Oh. Yeah, but... Alright, maybe this is a good move. Bishop e4. He is down a pawn. Bishop f3, queen f3, bishop takes g5. Definitely not my first choice. I mean, if black's going to take with something, I guess, with the pawn, and then when you attack it, he can try to keep it defended. Though still, dude has serious attacking chances here. Astrobate starts to have some very serious attacking chances. Just on the verge of something going on here. I mean, objectively, I don't know. Maybe he should have played bishop h7. That's probably safer. Now there's no bishop. So now we have a situation where black has to be very, very careful. Obviously, queen e7, f4. When white is clearly in possession of a powerful initiative. He's clearly in possession of his faculties. Let's see. Oracle still thinks black is okay. Just about okay. With active counterplay with knight c4. He's got to defend alertly. But instead f6. And now, I thought you would play for f4. Acer, why not f4? This looks objectively like a good try. In fact, like, maybe black should play f5 and give you this pawn and be like, alright, dude, take the pawn. Exactly. I think that's what black should do. I mean, in fact, you know, he wants to wait until you play f4 and then he'll play f5. Exactly. Because this wouldn't be as good. Like f5, queen takes g5, white has more flexibility. But king g2 looks kind of slow. I don't know, man. I don't think this is enough, dude. He can take here as well. Just nibble on my house. It's like the Wicked Witch. Nibble on my house. Astrobate, king g2 is too slow. It's too slow, bro. You gotta go here with f4. Why doesn't he take? And then this is filtering in, maybe knight c4. Black has good counterplay. Even rook f8 might be a good move. f6 undermines the black center as well as defending g5. Yeah, man, we could take over. King g2 was too slow. Let's see what the oracle says. Yeah, f4 is... Actually, even takes on f6. Wow. I didn't think this was that great. But apparently even that move. But I do not like king g2. But our hero played... Not our hero. Our hero's vanquisher. The enemy played knight b3. And that move looks kind of slow. That sucks, dude. Knight b3 sucks. You literally force white to play rook d1, secure his center, and then lift the rook up like rook d3. Hey, why don't you lift the rook up? Very good move. Now queen f7. He could do worse than the Astrobate maneuver, right? For example. What did he do? He dropped his d5 pawn? No. I guess that would be... The one problem with this would be this diagonal. If you follow up with queen f7, you could drop your d5 pawn. Some lines. But anyway, queen f7, rook d3. I knew this was coming. And then black just panicked, it looks like. Knight b3 definitely helped Astrobate. I thought knight on c4 was way better. Okay, first of all, it's closer to the center. When you play this move, your knight, is actually attacking a central square. You're also in the, in the family fork zone, and you have knight d2, knight e4 maybe. It's everything about knight c4 is better than knight b3. Knight b3, rook d1, queen f7, rook d3, and then this move, it's where are you going? That's oh, there's a minor thunderstorm coming, and you're packing your bags and going out into the freezing cold or something. No, dude, he's okay here. Black's okay here. He could take on e5. He has rook c4. He has the f file. There's absolutely no reason whatsoever to play king f8. Goddamn window. King f8 is horrible. And now rook h1. Again, I would think f4 would be better. King e7. The king is actually not really that safe on e7. He takes f, g takes f. Now white has a powerful passed pawn. And then rook e1. And now we're threatening possibly rook takes e6 check to trade the two rooks for the queen. Ooh, there's rook takes e6 check and knight takes d5 in some lines. And now there's just straight up knight takes d5. Smack! Black's lucky that doesn't win immediately. Oh, it does lose the knight. Oh my god. It loses the knight on b3. So king f8 stays alive. If I take one knight, you take the other. So he finds this. And now black has rook c1. I don't think that's going to survive long, but theoretically this is the only move that I guess doesn't lose material right away. Now you can just take on the rook and you're winning. But after he played this, he's really good once he gets it all together, you know. That's the thing about this guy. His openings are kind of weak. He doesn't do that much memorization. Once he gets his pieces coordinated, he's extremely strong. We see all four of White's pieces are coordinated now. No, I think it's over. The black king is too open. That knight never really cut it. But oddly enough, like rook c1, not great either. I think like you don't want to play queen takes e6. Your rook's hanging, so I guess rook f3. Rook f3 or rook e3. I guess rook c1 is good enough. What about a5? On a5 you have like queen e6. Okay, he played rook c8. Check, check. And then takes. Wow, an acerbate endgame. Now this guy has a chance, doesn't he? Okay, you gotta trade queens. What about this endgame? Trade queens. These two pawns. Gotta play knight here. Probably White's winning. I mean, White has the two connectors, so we just lose one of the kingside pawns. And these two pawns should win the game on the queen side. But it's not that easy. But not trading queens here is nuts. And that's really, really dumb. I guess there is this fork here, but I think you've got stronger, no? Knight c6. There's knight there, but you're still winning. You know, knight c6, knight d3 doesn't work. You just take queen e8 maybe. Queen f6 check, queen f7, queen takes g5. This is much better. Queen takes a6 looks kind of off sides. Now you're winning a knight. This is just kind of mean. So black should have played king here. Where's the mate? Check. King g4. And then knight d3 doesn't work because d5 is hanging. So you have to play f3 check, and then king here, and then queen e4 is mate. Yeah, White had lots of wins. But black was crazy not to trade queens. All right, I've got a player that was just gift subbed. Everyone loves Fallujah. He just submitted a game. So this is probably, yeah, simul. Leon Coach, welcome. You were just about to ask him for a good book about self-made and helpmate. I don't know about that either. I think just positional stuff I'm more expert in. Don't ask me about like puzzle books. Other than like Maxim Block and Encyclopedia of Middle Games, I don't really have any puzzle books. Alright. So this is Ferrugia with black. Magnus Carlsen. Marcus Carlsen. Against Juan. The Colley system. Mr. Colley. Thanks for the earlier donation of 501 bits, Mr. Colley. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of stuff you can do here. G6, C5, C6, E6. Those are the main moves. Bishop G4 is a move. I don't know how good it is. Black does this traditional E6. Now there's really like several different ways to play. You know, you played the classical C5. You're playing the most principled move here. But there are alternate setups. You can maybe put the bishop on E7 and then play without C5. The plan would be like bishop E7, B6, bishop B7, and try to cut across like white's control over E4. No, I don't think that bishop D6 has a lot of independent value here. I don't think this particular move has much independent value. With bishop E7, we're planning on playing like B6, bishop B7, keeping good control of E4. Maybe we'll do C5 later. And you know, I don't think there's anything drastically wrong with doing B6 right away. But C5 is still the main move. Okay? White plays C3 now. I never played the normal Colley system with white. I like the Koltanowski setup with B3 better. It's a little more dynamic. Or he can castle and then play. You know, this is actually not clearly a threat. White can actually castle here. But usually it's like B3 or C3. So C3. And now black plays C takes D4. And I mean, yeah, this is a bad move. There's really no reason to play C takes D4. What do we get from this? What are we gaining by playing C takes D4? Very little. I mean, we extend the diagonal of this bishop 2 squares. We maybe like extend the control along the C file, but we're giving up more than we're gaining. We're trading a 5th rank pawn for a 3rd rank pawn. And I think as far as like open files go, this open file here is more useful for white than what we see here for black. So I think this is typically a mistake. You could also play like B6 and like later maybe try to play bishop A6 once you've castled. So B6, knight C6, or bishop D6. Or bishop E7 is sort of weird now. This isn't good. Yes. And then H6. And H6 is just like, well, I guess I understand why you played it, but you know, we wouldn't have to play that move if you hadn't played c takes d4. Actually, we don't have to play it anyway. I still wouldn't play h6. I think it weakens your king side. You can always put your bishop on e7, and if he pins you, it's not really dangerous. This weakens black's king side, reduces flexibility with the pawns, castles, bishop d6, and then, you know, he played rook e1 here, but I'm not a huge fan of rook e1 actually. I don't see he necessarily has to play that. Maybe queen e2 is better for white. I mean, h6, I get it. Like, you take away g5, that's one less square for him to put his bishop on. But you're gonna make these stonewall attacks much stronger. So honestly, I would think queen e2 for white, supporting knight e5. You know, you could try some weird move like knight h5, but it doesn't look good. You know, white would just answer that with like g3. We're probably going to need the castle at some point. Okay, rook e1 is okay. Castles. White should have a strong attack on the king side, a la Stonewall. This is not ideal. You know, he wants his rook on f1, not on e1 in the Stonewall type of setup. But alright, whatever. Knight c6, and then f4. f4 gets a dubious from the analysis or whatever. Well, I don't think it's that dubious, but it would be better with the rook on f1. So it's very hard for black to get any counterplay here. You can't play f6 to kick his knight out. You can't take it. Basically, what are your options? Like bishop d7, or maybe maybe like knight e7. I would think knight e7 to play like b6, bishop b7, and try to control the e4 square. But this is really bad. Now you're in big trouble. But again, like, his rook is on the wrong square. You'd be in more trouble probably with that rook on f1. But you have a classic Stonewall attack here for white. These two bishops and the queen. Now, like, the computer is going to recommend knight e4. You could sack a pawn. Like this, for example, I guess. Try to get him to give up the valuable light square bishop. I doubt it's enough. So, like, the computer is saying knight h7. This interferes with our development. There is no great move here for black. The c5 pawn is like killing you, and the only way to get rid of it is f6, which weakens your own king side. So you're in a no-win situation here with black. That's the problem. You're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't, essentially. But this creates discombobulation on the back rank. Knight d2, and then f5. So that's like damned if you don't. Now, if he lets you keep that pawn there, maybe it's not so bad. So I understand why he took here. Now the dark squares. The dark squares in your position look weak. Knight takes f6. See, like here, I would be happier if my pawn was like back on h7, probably. It's a lot of pawn moves. Knight f3. You've got a bad bishop. The dark squares are weak. Basically, black has a bad French defense. There's a threat of knight h4, knight g6, which looks very problematic. So, for example, bishop d7. Oh, you like rook takes f6. Okay, maybe you have a point. The knight on e8 is very bad, you know. I mean, regardless, your h7 has no defense. Even if you like rook f6, I mean, this is not good. And h7 has absolutely no defense at all. So I don't think that, you know, black's able to be okay here under any circumstances. Queen takes f6 maybe deserves consideration too. To be honest, if you get attacked, I mean, you know, you're just going to go back to e7. I think queen takes should be, you know, as much an option as any move. I mean, even g takes is an option. You know, in some places this might actually be a good move, and in certain positions this might actually be a good move. Because if we're in a really bad situation, I mean, these pawns, they do cover a lot of squares. It's probably not enough. There are too many weaknesses. If my king is on h8 and my pawn is back on h7, maybe I can play with this. Yeah, maybe. I'll tell you one thing I don't like about this position is this knight coming in here. And there's really nothing we can do about it, because if we play bishop d7, knight h4, and then if you try to defend the g6 square, you're dropping the e6 pawn. So you can't defend the knight coming into g6 and keep e6 defended at the same time, which is a problem. Queen c7 was played, stopping bishop f4 and affording black some lateral defense. Maybe not such a bad move, but ultimately you need to move your bishop. So my instinct is like this thing with knight here. I think this is the key. Maybe black has 97 to sort of hang on. But this move is not that appealing. And now knight g4. Black's actually not threatening anything because rook takes, f3, pawn takes. Maybe I shouldn't say black's not threatening anything. Maybe black is threatening e5, although it's not really a threat. Now h3, knight takes e3, and you're just trading his bad bishop off, so he doesn't mind this so much. There is g3. You could play maybe queen g3 just to be annoying. And rook f6 now. Yeah, so this is unnecessary. White, and actually you could also play queen f4. He shouldn't trade queens, I guess. h4, knight g4, what? h4? I don't understand what you guys are talking about. h3? What is about h4? I don't understand what we're talking about. Why are we talking about h4? What is this h4 you're talking about? h4, knight g5? h4? With a pawn on h6? You're like, what do you want about? Like some kind of, like, sacrifice? I mean, h4 is weird. I mean, black has queen here. Even h3 is kind of risky because he's weakening this square. I mean, white spoiled a lot of his edge here. He didn't get as much as he should. You're almost okay now. Black offered a draw, but I mean, of course black is worse. But not that bad worse. You're only slightly worse. Offering a draw, I wouldn't offer draw to a higher rated player, but simul, I don't know. You're slightly worse. Okay, rook f6. Now you can bring your king to the center, if possible, We'd like to get our king to the center. And then he takes on f6, which is pretty bad. White definitely doesn't want to take on f6 here. But he's probably in time pressure. You know, and he's sort of like, well, he has to consider seriously probably doing this. But I think after this you're okay, for sure. He loses control of e5. Rook h5. I assume rook h5. King g7, and then I wasn't sure about like rook h4. But it looks bad because you have e5 controlling the g4 square. It's funny, if he hadn't played h3, this almost works. Probably if his pawn is on h2, he has like rook h3 here, and he's playing rook g3 with a good game. But it's like the fact that he doesn't have that square, it's like bam, you know, e5, and suddenly you're controlling the g4 square. And black is fine. So he has to play this, and now black is like probably equal. But I mean, I think before you do b5, maybe your priority should be to improve your king position here in the endgame. b5 is okay, but I would feel better about like king f7, king e7, king d6, and getting my king to the center. You're also like putting another pawn on the light squares, which I'm not that crazy about. I understand it's a minority attack. But I mean, you really want to play e5. And if you want to play e5, you have to bring your king to the center. Now you got it anyway. Yeah, objectively, he should probably take. Oof, hung a pawn. I mean, he just straight up hung a pawn here. So apparently he can put pressure on the d5 pawn. Now he offered a draw. You know, you put another pawn on light squares, but probably you shouldn't. You know, I think you should play bishop d7 and try to avoid it. Because now he has levers like a4. If you have a choice between a6 and bishop d7, you should play bishop d7. Don't put more pawns on the same color as your bishop unless you have to. You know. This pawn doesn't want to be on a6. With his white square bishop on the light squares. Bishop d7 is better. Put as few pawns as possible on that color. So a6 is a slightly inaccurate move. He'll get a4 later, be able to like clean off all your pawns. This is sort of weird. I guess he was afraid you would take on a4 if he did a4. This is like really blatant though. I think now you should play bishop d7 again. Okay, the bishop's misplaced on h3. So you played e4. Yeah, I mean, you're putting too many pawns on light squares. You're not going to win this position by putting your pawns on light squares if there's any chance to win here. That's not going to work. You know, he's going to blockade on the dark squares. After e4, there's no way you're going to break his dark square blockade. I think bishop d7. And if anything, maybe you like exchange on d4 at some point. And slightly improve your pieces, and there's some small chance black can win here. Exactly. I like how Tabias is saying bishop d7 instead of a6 maybe. Are you listening? That's like the most important point we just talked about. Okay, e4 now. All the pawns are on the wrong color. You know, you could even lose a pawn up if all your pawns are on the wrong color. You like the pawn chain. It's pretty. But pretty pawn chains don't win games necessarily. Again, I think this is probably best preventing that a4. I'm really worried about a4, man. Honestly, he might be better after a4, even down a pawn. I can't believe he didn't play this. He played rook a1, and then he didn't play a4. I can't even possibly conceptualize. How would white not play a4 here? What else is there? He played king e3 to like blockade your pawn. Okay. Alright, it's a reasonable move. He might have been afraid of e3. He must have been afraid of something like e3 check, king takes, and then bishop d7 or something. Alright, his move's okay. King e3 is okay. But you should definitely stop a4. And now he has a4. Now he definitely has to do a4. Give me a break. You've got like king g5 maybe. I can't believe he didn't do a4. That's insane. King f4. Yeah, it's like, what is he doing? He blockaded your pawn. You have no threats over there. And he doesn't play a4 here. White's like better now. Even if he's down a pawn, he might be better. a4 is a very, very strong move. And yeah, you're kind of melting down here. So you've got moves. I mean, rook b8, bishop d7. Black is at least equal. But it looks like you're going south after h5. You could even lose. Yep. You're like passively defending now. And then g4. So h4. Yeah, g4 was a little weird. He gave you this insanely powerful outside pawn. Wow. Now you're winning. Now you can play a5, rook h3, a break with b4 eventually, and win. Yeah, so I think this is winning for black. Some sort of a5, b4 break, and you crack your way in on the queen side with a minority attack and win. But it's a FIDE title player, so a draw is not a bad result. Alright, what are these? Oof. Games from Poobot. Or Poobot. We got time. Leon from Twitch, by the way. Leon. Game may have continued. Ooh, I hope this works. It's a cheese Kong game. Termination. Wait. Copy. Tools. Analysis board. Grandmaster to be. Or not to be. Rating with a party of 9. Grandmaster Shakespeare, welcome. Shakespeare Grandmaster. This isn't working. The linky is not good. It worked. Alright, it's good. You're white. Grandmaster to be or not to be. Thank you for the raid. Everyone is welcome. We're analyzing subscriber games here. We try to take chess seriously. I know that's not popular with streamers and online chess players, but I'm going against the grain by taking chess seriously. Chess is not about having fun. I'm sorry to break it to everybody. Alright, c4, e5. Chess is a form of self-torture designed to make us tougher as human beings. Alright, c4, e5. The English opening. Knight c3, knight f6, knight f3. I play this a lot for Knights English. There are many good moves here. You played e3, bishop b4. So, interesting. This particular position, I'm not a big expert on, although I've played it a few times. I think I've only played like queen c2. But you know what? His move is, it's entrepreneurial. I like the fact that d4, you know, is rarely played. There's like a French-like element to this position. Also could be a French exchange. Yeah, I'm saying French-like element. Yeah, it's French-like. d4 is okay. You know, I think it's a playable move. It's probably equal. We could very likely see a direct transposition to a, what's he called, the Godiva variation or whatever. After like take, d5. Highly likely transposition to an exchange French with c4, which I like. But instead, your opponent played e4. And now you're making me think about a different line. Oh, I know what it was. I had this game in the Boylston Chess Club Championship in the early 90s. Chris Chase played e4 against me here. And I think we would have reached like a possible transposition. I don't remember now if I played 95 or 92. Boffinek has I guess Boffinek just gave a little bit of analysis in my 100 selected games. Boffinek has a game where he played this with white, and I think he just discussed the move e4, even though it wasn't played in the game. It's a little different, though. The black bishop is on b4 here. But that's a nice idea. Okay. And then black plays e4, so we have like a advanced French, and honestly, you know, this bishop here, it's not an advanced French exactly, because black hasn't played d5. So black can play d6 and maybe trade off his bishop like a Nimzo. It's not so bad. But it's interesting, there's 10 games here, and no one played d5 like your opponent. But I think that favors the bishop pair, and it makes you wonder why knight g5 is a move there. Yeah, not necessarily better. So it makes you wonder, like, was this bishop even appropriate in this position? If we're going to have an open center, then black shouldn't be trading off their bishop. It's a good bishop if we have pawns on light squares. You don't have to play CD either. Monica Sacco. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, CD is the most direct. You can also play other moves like bishop e2. Alright. Yeah, I mean, the e4 pawn is hanging. I don't know, girls. Our hero here took the pawn. Moni did not. This is a question of calculation, obviously. You know, on intuition, I can see, yeah, this might be a little dangerous. There's a line. Monica's a very strong player. She didn't take it. That doesn't mean that it's bad, but it does mean that there's some concern. What's the concrete line here? Maybe f5? Transposing to another game that's actually been played. Wow. Damn, dude. So this German guy pulled off. He played bishop d2. That is a nasty move. Wow. Bishop d2 is just nasty. It refutes f5 because of pawn takes pawn, queen h5 check, winning the knight on d5. Here we go with it's all prep again. I know. Of course it is. It's possible, but yeah. So knight takes e4. There's no games in the master database. I don't know if this is a good move or not. Interesting debate. It's a little risky to take the pawn. But I mean, f5 is... Black's next move is insane. Like, why would Black play f5 here? I'm not sure about castles, but f5 definitely doesn't look right. Maybe it's not that bad. I guess. Whoa. Sorry, I clicked. f5, queen b3. So bishop e6. Wouldn't we play bishop e6? Defend said. Well, it's not defended. No, it's defended. But at some point you're going to play bishop d2. And you're re-attacking. You do the pulled off trick. Bishop d2, and then if he takes this, you take on d5. You know, but it's tricky because like bishop takes, queen takes, knight takes, bishop takes, check, king takes, rook takes f2 check. You know, it just goes on. Possibly some very long variations. I don't know, man. I mean, this is a game. Hit the engine button. Well, I mean, I'm trying not to just like be this. I hit the engine button and tell you what it says type of player. We're not here to just turn on the engine, but I use it when I have to. I mean, I'm assuming White's play is like perfect. We've seen this before. It's probably all perfect moves. I would assume. No. Bishop c4 is up there, though. It might be. You'd need to run the engine. So the pawn sack is unsound. Well, castles is definitely bad. So she definitely should have taken the pawn, and she didn't. But when you're like 2489 and you're playing a 2359, like you don't have to take any risks necessarily. She played the second best move. I mean, this is a strong move as well. Mohammed Reza, okay. f5, queen b3, takes, check. Well, that's a winning position. Now White has a winning position. And we're talking about like 2 pawns up without enough compensation. I don't really know if we have to do this, though. To be honest, it feels safer to play bishop takes e4. I mean, I'm sure that White has like other options here other than giving up our light square bishop. I feel like this could be inaccurate. White is obviously a pawn up. you know, it could be hard to break black's like light square blockade here. Unless you're using a computer. Wow. Queen takes c6. I don't know. There's a lot of strong women players in Poland. Queen h4, g3, queen g4. I don't like what happened here to our light squares. But he's picking up the rook. I have no idea what you know, this was like a super fast game or something. Castles kingside. And you got mated. Yeah, I mean, so I think, like, starting about this point, like, white clearly has a winning position. And you just need to be careful. You know, giving, like, your light square bishop up is not careful. This is a very solid move. I would think bishop d2. Possibly castling queenside. Bishop takes e4. Keeping the good bishop alive. Maybe there was a problem, you know, something tactical like this. But I'm still not sure. Even here, looks like you got queen c2. You've even got castles. Wow. Yeah. So after bishop takes c4, bishop takes c3 check. B takes c, rook takes f2. Holy shit. Bishop takes c3, b takes c, rook takes f2. The best practical try. Black sacks the exchange with queen h4 check to discombobulate white. I think you just weren't careful enough, you know. When you take material, you need to just consolidate step by step, you know, not try to win quickly. But I don't like bishop takes c6 under any circumstances. Castles is a misclick, sure. I believe you. But g3 is a misclick. This is a misclick too. You know, queen takes c6. Now, queen takes c6 is not a misclick, but it's a bad move. Why? Why do we want to take that pawn anyway? I don't know. I think you can play this position more safely somehow. Maybe b3. b3, bishop a3, castle queenside. But even this I don't like. You know, I wouldn't take on c6. There's no way I'm playing bishop takes c6. You know, I just try to be safe. Safe-ish. Safe-ish. I think the computer said, like, castles was possible. Right? What's wrong with castles? He has take knight a5. That's oops. Even there you have queen b4. Oh snap. Isn't that nice when you're like fully developed and the opponent's not? He can't take on d5. These games keep coming in. Guys, you better stop spinning games because I have to leave at some point. Last game from Goiju. Tipu bot. TP. You made a bunch of moves that look suspicious, you know. g3, bishop takes c6. It didn't just happen by accident. Your approach was risky, but objectively good, you know, taking the pawn. The question is taking the second pawn and then, you know, being careful after that. TP bot. Oh, it's you versus Goju? Wait, what? What do you mean I can... This is not against Goju. Oh, you mean he submitted his game with you? Is that what you're telling me? It's what a coincidence. Interesting game with Asterbait. No. They're not. It's not. It's not. We'll just do them both, and that's the last games for today. We'll be back tomorrow. Oh, you want me to do... Which do you want? This one. Copy. Alright. Yeah, we can cover both players at the same time. He wants the other one. The other one is versus 2300 player. Okay, let's see it. I'll do the game that I'll do the game that you guys chose, separately. TP bot. Oh, crushing a 2300 player. With white. Alright, everybody loves a good closed Sicilian. Blech. G3. G6, bishop G2, bishop G7. Huh. That's strange. D3. And now, black played knight F6. Kind of a classical setup for black, with the knight out in front of the pawn. I mean, you've got so many different setups you can play. F4, knight E2, H3. The knight H3 is sometimes good too. This is kind of like the boring, solid Spassky style. Castle. Actually, Smyslov used to play this with white. Castles, and now black played E6. Wow, I'm having like a flashback or some kind of... I've seen this somewhere. E6 is sort of a weird move for black. Normally you don't play E6 with the knight on F6. You play E6 with the knight on E7. What is that, a Tregubov? Jabava versus Tregubov, 2010. I don't know, E6 is kind of weird. D6 is totally standard. Rook B8 is totally standard. This is a weird move. It just seems like bizarre. He's... I mean, it's possible the position was reached by a different order of moves in the Jabava game. Looks like you're asking for bishop G5, which is what Jabava played, or Yubava, if you prefer. Spassky is cute. That's my first thought, always. Especially if you're into, like, 80-something-year-old guys. No, I mean, bishop G5 is a popular move anyways. Sort of inducing some weaknesses. People do that anyway. But I mean, I wouldn't play E6. I mean, I'm a believer in the classics. This is the correct move. Black's playing the English. This knight comes back to E8. Black will meet your F4 with F5, if necessary. Or he doesn't move it at all. I have a friend who plays these setups very well for black. He'll just like leave his knight there and let you push the pawns and just live with it. Just expand on the queen side. Actually, Fischer, I believe, played this setup for black when he was black against the closed Sicilian. Anyway, E6 is weird. I don't like it. F4, and then D5. Well, now we understand what black was trying to do. So, well, just tell me you didn't play pawn takes pawn, and we're all good. Pretty much anything but pawn takes pawn. Pawn takes pawn would trade off your strong point in the center, so we don't want to do that, Asterbait. E5 is definitely playable at this point, I think. If you don't want black to like trade queens and go into an ending. Boris, you had a crush on me. Boris gave me a funny look. Alright, d5, a4. a4 is weird. I don't like a4. I would play e5. I'm gonna play e5, and we're just gonna play it closed structure. Basic standard position. I've seen some cases where black plays f6, but I don't think that's easy for black to play. You might argue e5. e5's overextending. You can certainly keep the tension here. King h1, h3. If pawn takes pawn, you know, this is kind of boring though. But I think like white is better here. It looks like. I'm not sure. I'm not an expert on the closed Sicilian, but you know, this knight can come here, defend the c2 pawn. White stays with a strong pawn in the center. If e5, you hit him with like f5. I don't really trust black there. What's the long-term plan? To checkmate black. I mean, after e5, I guess we're going to do a kingside attack. Like close the center and go for attacking on the king side. Black will probably try to break out with f6 at some point. Kind of like a Dutch. I don't like a4 at all. But I also don't think like d4 is the way to take advantage of it, probably. Now we just close up like a clam. It's a King's Indian. Is this a problem? Is this a problem? I'm a little worried about that. Not sure we can absorb that properly. Let's do knight a3. If takes, we can probably hold it together, pick off this pawn. I mean, this has to be, you know, this is important, because if it doesn't work, white's in trouble. Right. You have like rook f3, knight c4. Like knight a5 is not enough. Probably not enough. Queen c1 doesn't work. Rook f3, queen b6. I mean, needless to say, it can get kind of complicated, this type of scenario. I'm still not 100% sure what's going on here. But it's a little shaky for black. If the pawn falls, he's like losing. But I don't like h5. h5 is like totally mental. I've done plenty of h5s, but I wouldn't play it in this position. You're just like, no knight g4. Great. Knight e7. Knight a3. This is good. Yeah, and I like your position now. You have a good King's Indian, or whatever you want to call it. It's a car with the hood flipped up. Knight c4. Bishop c6. This is weird. I'm not sure what black is doing, to be honest. Bishop c6. Why bishop c6? You can play like knight e5 here. I don't understand bishop c6. That's a weird move. So this is definitely an option. I guess he would just go back to e8 or let you take. Black probably has more constructive moves than bishop c6. Needless to say, he was worried about the long diagonal, but I don't think rook b8 would be a more normal move. Probably. Yeah, b5 is not good. Only if we can play b6, a6, and then b5. We want to keep the pawns fluid. You played a5. But you know, you might be making it easier for black to play b5 there. I'm not sure if we want to do that. You know, I think you should focus on development. But this move might discombobulate black a little bit. You know, if black has to play like bishop e8 to keep that bishop, then that looks kind of stupid. if you just make a random move, they can play like b6 and if, you know, drop the bishop back to b7. So maybe this is a strong move. You know, knight e5, call their bluff, and then play bishop d2. And black will have to slowly unravel. You see the car? This is like a standard sedan sort of structure. But in the front, they have the hood opened up, you know. I guess the pawn should be like on b3. That's what we call the car. Standard car structure. Yes. a5 is a little weird. Because you give black this chance. Why give black that chance on the queen side? Make up your mind. Are you playing on the king side or the queen side? You shouldn't do a5. You should go about your business on the king side. Maybe you can get in g4, right? Bishop f3 with the idea of g4. a5 is probably bad. Not horrible bad, but you're playing on the wrong side of the board. And now you got g4. Alright. And black was concerned about your king side attack, so they played f5. I never really liked the setup, though, that they played. The sunroof is leaking after f5. Alright, f5. Wow. Yeah, I mean, okay, it's a normal close Sicilian move, honestly. And it doesn't look like T-Boot-Poo is in any position to really take advantage. If the queen were here, maybe. She was messing around too much with, like, a5, you know. Alright, so we're going to have to be careful here. What do? We take on f5. White offers a draw. Hey, this is a good move. And offers a draw. What about knight f6, though? I guess we have knight e5 there. Maybe. No, I mean, knight g3 is a strong move. Yeah, I mean, your draw offer is totally fine. Although maybe you're just better, objectively. I thought knight f6, there you have knight e5. You're still better. But this is insane. FTG4 is just like... You know, Alex Yermolinsky wrote an article like 25 years ago for New in Chess about the psychology of draw offers. Where some people would just offer draws to like set their opponents off. It looks like your opponent just like lost his mind because you offered a draw. Now he's completely lost. He just destroyed his whole position. Wow. Yeah, this is horrible for black. He's walking into his own like casket here on the F file. F5 is a question mark. Well, relative. I'm sure that F5 is not that bad. Obviously, if you have limited time. But she had E5 with the threat of knight D6 check as well. F5 very natural and still strong. Yeah, and this is brutal. I mean, what you don't want is like black escaping, but still. I mean, knight e4 looks really strong. Maybe if knight e4 they can take it. I mean, I offered a draw against my 2600 opponent in a clearly better position on Sunday. And he just played a move, and I mean he was like clearly worse, and had to like repeat moves 2 moves later. He knew he was worse, but he was just like gambling that I'm afraid or something, you know. Knight h5. What happened? You lost on time. Yeah, you don't want the f5 pawn to get blockaded. So you're breaking through here. You need to play f6. The question is, where's the killer move now? Black has two ways to capture. Well, you have a check on h5. I don't know how deadly it is. I mean, I guess that's important. Oh, knight h5. You've got to watch your own king on the g file. I mean, the problem is the file can, like, backfire, you know. Knight takes f6, knight h5, rook g8. You know, obviously, there is the potential for this to go very badly wrong. However, you have, like, brute force murder here. Like, rook takes f6, rook takes f6, rook f1, check. Knight f5. This, you know, looks pretty unhealthy for black. To say the least, you know, rook takes f5 check here. Bishop g5 check. Oh, do you have that too? White's winning. Yeah, no, good position. You played well. Alright, next game. Last game for today. Mr. Goiju. I gotta go, kids. It was nice knowing you. Instead of f6, yeah, there are probably other good moves too. I mean, her position was so overwhelming that it's almost impossible there wasn't more than one winning move. Tabias, yeah. You probably have a choice there. Well, like she had e5 or f5. She probably has other winning moves as well. Interesting game with Acerbate. Acerbate. A Serbia analysis board. I hate this rain. Wow. Back and forth, Acerbate won. Acerbate finished 5th in our weekly tournament on Tuesday. Nice job, Acerbate. Maybe the faster time control kind of favors him because he doesn't look at the clock. So Acerbate's white. We can look at this from Goiju's perspective, because it's his game. Here, I think, yeah, everybody has their own repertoire, but I really like knight f6, because knight f6 puts pressure on the enemy center. Knight c6 is just kind of like, you know, I'm not putting any pressure on the opponent's position. But with knight f6, we're developing the king side, putting pressure on e4. I feel like this is definitely the best move for black against the Vienna. Knight c6 is okay, it's just the developing move. Anyways, f4, that's a little risky. He's playing a King's Gambit, you know, style. Vienna Gambit. They call this the Vienna Gambit, but they also call f4 after knight f6 the Vienna Gambit, which is really weird. I think, like, actually, I believe, like, this is technically the Vienna Gambit, f4. So they can't both be the Vienna Gambit. Wikipedia, or wherever you get your names from, Lichess. f4. And then black misclicked and touches h-pawn and played h5. To take Acerbate out of book. Right, f4 d5. That's the best line. But this is clearly bad. Black's best is to take. And to play play it like a King's Gambit, essentially. With the knights on c3 and c6. Theoretically, black does well here. That's the best bet. I don't have another recommendation. I think you like, I know that like some people have played like f5 or crazy ass. d6 is too passive. You have to do pawn takes pawn here. This is the only good move. There are some weird lines, like I think bishop c5 is a transposition to a kind of declined King's Gambit. Try Mr. Falkbeer. Yeah, you can't do the Falkbeer here. Falk here. H5, question mark. Knight F3. And now you took. You might as well have taken first and then done H5. So, H5 is just out of, out of place. D4. D4 makes sense, but black has G5. And now the $1 million moment, we all have been waiting for H4. So, Jupe, I think it's the name of some chess playing correspondence billionaire. Jupe van Osterom. From Monaco. H4 looks really bad for black. You're getting it, the structure here cracked. So you have G4. It's a hair product as well, just for men. Okay. So Asterbate goes all in here with Knight G5. But I don't think that's objectively forced. Maybe Asterbate needs to chill out a little bit. You're not obligated to play Knight to G5 and sacrifice a knight in this position. I don't really like this move particularly, but even that might be okay. But Knight G1, I would think there's a problem with H4, huh? Damn. Oh, I guess it's normal though. Like Bishop E7, Bishop takes F4, Bishop takes H4, check, G3, and it's possible that white is still better. Something like this. White will remain a pawn down, but have compensation because of his strong center. I see how H5 kind of fits in. Well, another option would be to play Bishop C4. You could play it right away. Yeah, I think if you want to put the knight on G5, it probably makes more sense to play with Bishop C4. D4, G5, H4, G4. Knight G5. Yeah, and it's also this move is playable. What's up with Knight E5? We're not, White's not trying for anything fancy. He's just trying to get the pawn back on F4. We just want to get our pawn back. It's no big deal, Knight E5 is playable. Knight E5 is playable. Knight G1 is playable. Obviously, this is stupid. But Knight G5 is very committal because now we're going to have to sacrifice a piece. I'm not sure that black necessarily has to do that. So bishop takes, pawn takes. I don't know. Which way do you take? Pawn takes. Very interesting. Pawn takes keeps the knights off of f6. It keeps black bottled up. Plays bishop g7. And then white just goes totally over the top. I mean, this pawn is under pressure. But it's also hard for black to increase the pressure. So, I mean, bishop e3 looks like a viable option. I'm not going to hit the engine button for this. Are you kidding? This is too much fun to destroy it with the engine. Asterbate plays knight d5. Well, you hit c7 and you got c3, so that's a really strong move. See, that's like way better than bishop e3. I wonder if could you can you, I know it's crazy. Yeah, this is a problem. He's threatening to trap your queen, actually. He's not threatening to win the exchange. Damn, he's threatening to play bishop takes c7, trapping your queen in this position. So now c3, and white has pretty strong compensation for that sacrificed piece. I think here you probably made a mistake. You know, this may be your chance to play knight on c to e7 and try to Sveshnikov that knight out of d5. Oh, you mean you're not threatening to trap the queen? Oh shit, queen takes g5. I lied. Sorry guys, I lied. Thank you for pointing that out. Yeah, it was all a lie. So you're answering... Okay, so I'll rephrase then. I feel like a defense attorney. I'll rephrase the question, Your Honor. Can we sacrifice with bishop takes? This doesn't trap a queen, contrary to popular belief. I have queen takes g5. So white has to play knight takes c7 check. And now we move the king somewheres. Unpleasant, but forced. Just say king f8 or something. If you take here, does black have any realistic compensation for the piece? What is he down here? He's only down the exchange, because Astrobate sacked the piece in the first place. So I'm just, thinking out loud. Black's king is pretty open, I don't trust this. I don't think it's going to be enough. So I like what you did. You played d6. He plays c3. But why go here? I know it's a developing move, that's true. But this move may be better. I don't want to give up the bishop if I don't have to. And you're threatening to play c6. This might well be your best defense. And white actually has to consider avoiding exchanges. But then he starts to kind of fall apart, maybe. Here. I'm not sure, man. I think this was a good move. So now we play queen b3. There's another problem. Yeah. That's why I wanted to trade off with the knight. Because when you trade off with the bishop, we start to see a real concrete weaknesses here. So I imagine that white has legit compensation. Although, he does have to consider taking with the queen, I think. Pawn takes, knight e7, queen takes pawn. No, you don't have to play rook b8. It makes sense to win the b2 pawn, I guess. There's a big b5 check coming in. But I would consider moving my king first. Question is, are you ever safe here? He does the check, king f8, and then queen a6. White's one move away from castling king's side. Actually, castles either way looks dangerous for black. Your king is just never going to be safe. So this looked like the logical try. White castle queenside. What if he castles kingside? That actually looks scary as well. Wonder what the engine will say now. I mean, I see his rooks on the H file, so. Castling queenside. Wow. It's dead even, according to the engine. Oh my god. And both castlings are possible. Yeah, that's a really cool position. But I think it's harder for you to play than for Astrobate. It's really hard, maybe for a computer to defend with black, but it's way harder for black to play in a practical game than for white. White just throws his pieces at you here, and his king is safe. You have to defend carefully. Here, and now bishop c4. So the extra piece. Black's extra piece is very difficult to use. And again, if Astrobate gets himself coordinated, he's extremely strong. I don't know if I would take this pawn if I were him. You know, I think honestly with white I would probably come back to like a4 and look at this like maybe a way to get the queen back in the game. He just takes on a7. It is another pawn though, and maybe white is going to win in an endgame with the outside pawns. You went for queen trade. And he just traded queens. I thought there was going to be a kingside attack, but no. Bishop b3. I don't know why he played that. You're now facing very serious threat here on the f-file. Prevented that. Rook e1. And now it looks like your best chance is to just queen this pawn. So, what happens there? Bishop c2 is coming. This seems to be an issue. Bishop c2. So if h4, bishop c2, what does black do? Knight e7, attacking d5, for example. But the black king is definitely not super safe here. For example, like g6. And this is coming in. So it's not that easy for black to just push the pawn down and be guaranteed to win. Though it looks like he's winning here. Wow, okay. So actually that's a mistake. Knight e7, he has to play bishop f4. g6 is too slow. Yeah, this is a very close game. But Astrobate had compensation for the sideways piece. It's impressive. Rook h e1, rook e8. Just trying to trade. And now here, that was a nice move. Now I guess you should objectively exchange rooks. Why play rook e8 if you're not going to exchange rooks? This to me doesn't make sense to like go rook e8 and then like avoid the exchange of rooks. So you had some sort of second thought, but I mean objectively like rook takes. I don't even know which way he should recapture. I guess with the rook. And now it's not even clear that white has a threat. I mean ultimately like his a pawn queening, right? You have the same thing. Both sides are going to queen their rook pawns. It's a question of who's first. Yeah, this stops the knight from coming in. But I feel like white's threat is bishop c6, a4, a5, a6, a7, a8. Black's threat is h4, h1. Maybe white has some other threats. But I mean, it seems weird to go there now. You know, I feel like you're targeting the a pawn. But now you didn't pull the trigger. So I don't understand now. Why did you not take this pawn here on a2? That's like his most dangerous pawn. He doesn't have mate or something, does he? Like check here, there's nothing there. He can play that, it's nothing special. You were scared of e8 square, right. But you should have taken the pawn. So now he should start marching that pawn down the board. Right? d5 is hanging. You took it. He played g6 with the idea of bishop g5. Now, do you have bishop h6 here? This is very tricky. But trading pieces would be good. Yeah, so I think this is an important position. Yes, it's the best move. Damn. It looks like bishop h6 is the only winning move. I mean, it's always good to think in terms of like trading off the enemy pieces. Whenever you're up a piece, obviously, this should be a major consideration. You played passively for the moment. This is a very passive move. This looks scary, but you know, he has no rook f1. Your knight's not attacked. You have a chance to trade off one of his pieces. Yeah. Now it looks like you might be in trouble after bishop g5. Now you got to retreat, and now, yeah, oof. So you're in a killer pin. You're in the killer pins now. It may be too late now. King g8, giving a piece back. Bam, 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 and now he's threatening bishop c4 check, and rook f7, and you got mated. Oh man, he missed bishop c4 check here. Masturbate. That's terrible. I guess this is good as well. Ooh, he's like torturing you now. He could have played bishop c4, but he just like wanted to like play with the food first. Oof, you played d5 and stopped him. But then he just goes bishop c6. You tipped him off. You tipped him off to what was going on. You clued him in. Check here. Check here. And then what? What am I missing? Rook h7? Rook h7. That's a nice move. He found it. The only clear win. Immediate clear win. Rook h7. Well, you don't have a defense. I mean, the only move is rook f8, and he has g7 now. Yeah, good game, guys. That was a lot of fun. Thanks for submitting that. Thanks, everyone, for subscribing and for being part of the stream. We'll be back tomorrow morning. Thanks to Mr. Coffee for taking his time to be moderator here. Thanks to all you guys for being subscribers again. We'll be back tomorrow for one more stream. That'll be it for the holidays, and we'll be back after Christmas next Monday. So no Sunday stream this week. Just tomorrow. Rapid Chess on Friday. Thanks, Mr. Coffee. See you guys Friday. Tomorrow. Normal time. 11 a.m. CET. Bye-bye, guys. It was my pleasure.